Welcome back to DIVEBOMB IndyCar Podcast, and for the second week in a row, apologies that we're late. As stated last week, I was in the home of IndyCar, not Indianapolis, just America, and I got back Wednesday and then was still very jet lagged, so it's now Friday and we're finally recording, so fingers crossed this comes out Saturday. So not great we start the episode, but apologies once again that we are a little bit delayed this week. I think we'll make our New Year's resolution to have every episode back on Tuesday without fail next year, so don't worry, that'll be the New Year's resolution. And you do also have to give some grace because it is off-seasoning and we are really plummeting the depths now. I think we're definitely at that stage where it is getting increasingly difficult to try and come up with new, unique content each week.
At least we're still managing to be weekly, and hopefully from this point on it will start to get a little bit easier. Hopefully a few more interviews in the new year, and then we'll be in preview season before you know it, really. Content days coming up at the kind of back end of January this year, and yeah, exciting times.
That's kind of weird because content days like when you start previewing it, and that's like a month.
Yeah,
so we're basically there.
Yeah, we're. I was just gonna say, like, we're absolutely hurtling towards it now, and it's kind of mad because the off season as a prospect is so long, but when you kind of are in it, it ends up actually going quite quickly, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, podcast wise, I guess we kind of spend like a month and a half doing reviews, and then maybe a month doing reviews, and then like a month or two of interviews, like was the case this year. Suddenly, in December, where it's slightly difficult, and then heading into the new year, it's gets a little bit easier previewing. But we appreciate all of you who are still listening every week and hopefully still somewhat enjoying it, giving you some sort of IndyCar discussion every week whilst there isn't much going on. We have a little bit of news to cover this week, and then we got kind of like a funky little idea that we've come up with. We did a lot of this last off season where we did a fantasy calendar, we did driver predictions for 2028 and a couple of other things, and we're kind of keeping on a similar sort of tone. We're going to build our ultimate IndyCar driver based on certain different categories. But before then, let's touch on the news that I alluded to a second ago. The main of which this week is quite an interesting one. It's IndyCar announcing an independent officiating system ahead of 2026. So previously, IndyCar did all their officiating and race management in-house, and it's kind of been something that's been a bit controversial for a while, so it's something they're actually outsourcing as of 2026. It's been organised by both IndyCar and the FIA as well. As you remember to last week's episode, we discussed changes in the super license, and there's been some discussions, okay, is there an increased relationship between the FIA and IndyCar based on that change and this announcement they've announced this week as well with the independent officiating system, which is going to basically control the races with no input from IndyCar at all. The managing director of it will report to an independent board, which has no oversight from either Penske or IndyCar, and they're going to have full oversight of the system, including the hiring of personnel for race control and technical inspection, and responsible for enforcing the IndyCar and Indy Next rulebooks by IndyCar. The two members who are going to lead that, as voted by the team owners, are Ray Evernham, who's a long-time motorsports veteran who served as the crew chief for Jeff Gordon when he won his NASCAR championships and pioneered Dodge's return to NASCAR. Raj Nair is a 30-year veteran of the auto racing industry, and he's got experience at the Ford Motor Company, where he served as the North American president and served as chief technical officer of Ford Global Product Development, which incorporates their motorsport programs in NASCAR, IMSA, and the World Endurance Championship. And the FIA appointed somebody called Ronan Morgan, who's got over 50 years of motorsport experience as a senior official, promoter, organizer, and competitor. He served as the chairman of stewards for more than 100 international race and rally events for the FIA, and was a sporting manager of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So there was obviously a lot of controversy if we look back to May and the Penske attenuator saga, which is kind of really where this all stemmed from, and the controversy of that, and then more allegations of cheating about what other teams are and aren't doing. And that kind of created this problem in IndyCar where, although Penske are managing the series, they're doing the oversight of Penske cars cheating, which is where this causes grey area as such, is what many people said, and this kind of eliminates that a little bit further. And hopefully, if we do have such situations again, where fingers crossed, let's hope not, because I don't want to speak about it again, we don't have this kind of really grey area. Okay, well, Penske managing the series, but their cars have been caught out. Why haven't they been caught for so long? And this was one of the huge discussions of that situation. So a kind of a big change coming to IndyCar, which we maybe won't see hands-on as such, like we do a lot of the other changes but kind of an important change, I feel like, for the integrity of the series.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably something that we won't necessarily visibly see any changes from, but I think it's important just in eliminating that optics issue, which was, yeah, I guess it came to the fore with the whole Penske qualifying attenuator modification saga this year. It was after qualifying for the 500 back in May that Doug Bowles first kind of publicly stated the intention to create essentially third-party governance for the series, because this external board is going to, well, they're in charge of applying the rulebook basically without any interference from Penske Entertainment, which was obviously the case in the past. And this isn't to say there was anything untoward going on. I think it's just very important that, for the sake, I think that word integrity that you used, Dan, that's what's important here. I thought the most interesting thing was the FIA's involvement in this whole thing. The fact that it's literally just limited to having someone that they have appointed to the board. I thought that was slightly intriguing, because there was actually a point made of the fact in the press release that the FIA were going to have no other involvement beyond this. But there was a quote in there actually from Mohammed Ben Sulayem, the president of the FIA. So that was certainly interesting. But yeah, something that we're probably not going to necessarily see and have that much of an influence, and it just eliminates any uncertainty around Penske obviously owning the series and the team.
Do you think when Rinus VeeKay took out Rosenqvist at Road America all those years ago that he'll finally be penalised for incidents like that? That's my favourite all-time IndyCar officiating moment, where VeeKay bunts Rosenqvist completely off the track and it's no penalty, fair game.
Yeah, I mean, guess it depends whether they carry over the stewards from the initial governance, doesn't it? I think to be fair, there was that whole thing with, I don't think Arie Luyendyk was he wasn't ruling on decisions based on obviously his countryman Rinus VeeKay. So yeah, that's an interesting point, Dan. But yeah,
is it Max Papis a steward? Or am I
Yes.
going crazy there? Because he's related to Pietro Fittipaldi, which technically caused a grey area last year when.
I imagine it will have been the same
wrong,
the same as the VeeKay situation, where he's just not allowed to rule on anyone that they have a relationship with. But it doesn't remove those grey areas if they're reappointed.
Yeah. Let's move on to a more straight topic, which is IndyCar unveiling their 2026 broadcast times. A big focus of this is obviously the World Cup taking place in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And during the summer, there's a big push for Fox to try and incorporate both IndyCar and World Cup events back to back, which is, again, part of Fox's plan to really grow the series and bring an audience who are watching the World Cup to bits of IndyCar as well. So the opening match, which takes place on June 21st, will lead straight into IndyCar's race at Road America. The 2 weeks afterwards, when IndyCar goes to Mid-Ohio, the round of 16 match will follow the race at Mid-Ohio. And then, as previously confirmed, after the World Cup final, IndyCar will head straight to Nashville Superspeedway to broadcast the Music City Grand Prix. So 3 events there directly linked to a World Cup event, which again just continues to show Fox's desire to really push the series and push the product. And hopefully we're going to have very big audiences based in the US, with the tournament being in the US, and sort of coincide of bringing more viewers to IndyCar, hopefully get interested in the sport, and will continue to grow the series.
Yeah, I think that is probably the biggest note from this, the emphasis placed on, the lead-ins from the World Cup, because, I mean, it's, I guess, along with the Olympics, probably the biggest global sporting event, and obviously attention has grown, and I guess the popularity of soccer has grown in the US, where obviously Fox will be broadcasting, and I think there'll obviously be masses more attention as well, with it being their home tournament as well. So, I mean, the first game and the final are 2 obviously of the biggest games in the entire tournament. So the fact that IndyCar is going to follow those events is pretty significant. Hopefully there's not too much post-match punditry and they just go kind of straight into the IndyCar rather than allowing people to leave. But I also think at the same time, the fact that some World Cup games will follow IndyCar races as well, that's also significant in my opinion. People tuning in to catch the beginning of the coverage for some of the World Cup games as well. I think that's not insignificant for sure. So, yeah, I mean, it's yet again another kind of thing that outlines Fox's, I guess, desire just to grow IndyCar as much as they possibly can, because they have a lot of other products that they could place at the forefront here, but they're deciding to put IndyCar as the one that, is broadcast closest to these major matches. So very exciting stuff, I think, for the prospect next summer of having an increase in viewership again.
Yeah, otherwise I don't think there's anything really majorly different to this season. Gateway is going to be a night race again, so looking forward to the Burrito 200 at 2 a.m. at our time.
Yeah, what time I think it started earlier than that last year. So
I thought it was 1 a.m. for us last year.
I think it was, because I think it's Central Time, isn't it? So it's 8 Eastern, 7 Central. This time it's 9, which is going to be 8 o'clock Central. I believe it's Central Time. So it's probably, I guess we'll just have more under the lights, which is good. And I guess it's the time of year, really.
It's not good for us.
No, it's memorable. Like I said, I wasn't in bed until like 5, 6 o'clock anyway.
Well, hang on. What's the broadcast? The broadcast about half an hour before the race starts. And the race, let's say 2 hours. That's already
half 4.
Looking at half 4 for us.
Yeah.
Podium wraps up half 5. Press conferences wraps up 6 a.m. So that might be a late one.
Yeah, I'm afraid, guys, that my post-race feature is going to be a little bit delayed because I think I might need to go to sleep. Unless I just do some funky thing and just go to bed at 6 o'clock and wake up at 2. That'd be interesting. But it was actually the most memorable race for me last year, just because of that lateness of it. It stands out, I think. So I'm looking forward to it. And
I'm gonna have to book work off the next day. I think this year I ended up in bed about 5:30 or something.
Yeah, I do remember that. But you had to leave the press conference, I think, actually, because Kirkwood was taking too long to arrive. But yeah, I think it's been moved an hour later. I can't remember how much of it was dark last year. A fair amount, but it is also height of summer, so it's not going dark anyway until 9, 10 o'clock, I guess. But even then, 8 o'clock Central, we should have a good hour under the lights, really. You would hope so anyway. So that's pretty cool. I think the only other one that's unreasonable for us is Long Beach. Which starts at, what's that, half?
So it starts at 5:30 Eastern, which would be 2:30 local, which is obviously quite reasonable. So that's 10:30 for us, which is what wrapping up at midnight.
It's not terrible. It's not awful. But they're the only two for us that are particularly troublesome.
IMS kind of a bit later at 4:30 p.m. It's a bit of a later one, especially being on the east. But again, nothing too significant there. And as was the case last year, Fox are going to cover the Indianapolis qualifying both the Saturday and the Sunday, the week before the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. So kind of smaller IndyCar news this week, but definitely worth bringing up. And obviously Indy Next have also released their one. Again, nothing too crazy there. There's no absolute crazy races for us. So I think we'll be okay. I like to think. Other news: Chip Ganassi Racing have announced a new sponsorship with Sunoco, which has led to a very nice looking livery for Kiffin Simpson, which looks incredibly like the Journey Rewards one, but of 2 years ago, the blue and yellow one. Check it out for yourself. Anyway, it looks really, really cool.
Very nice livery.
It's Sunoco's first venture in IndyCar since 1973, so coming back after 50 plus years, which is pretty cool. But that's kind of it in IndyCar world news wise. Again, we're kind of getting to the real slow point of the season now, and it's going to start ramping back up in January, February. And really the only big thing we're kind of waiting for now is Dale Coyne Racing, the second driver, obviously, and we're kind of awaiting a few Indy 500 announcements. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago. A lot of the jeopardy, I feel is taken out with Carpenter and Castroneves being, well, when are they going to be announced? Because you kind of assume they're coming back. And then other than that, I guess we still got an RLL entry to be announced, a DRR entry to be announced, and otherwise I don't think there's really much we're waiting for on that side, and they usually happen a bit later on to the year anyway. So, as I said, kind of the period, dare I say it, where it is a little bit quieter, but yeah, that's all we kind of expected really at this time of year. Anyway, let's move on to our ultimate IndyCar driver. So, as I said, we're going to have a little bit of fun this week, and you're more than welcome to play along at home as well. So we've created 8 categories to kind of build an ultimate IndyCar driver. So I'll go over these categories first of all, which me and Archie agreed were kind of 1 lap pace, overtaking, personality, consistency, overability, entertainment, racecraft, and then a category that we've made up ourselves. We don't know each other's category, but we said we'll make this a little bit fun, a little bit funkier than the other categories. So we can use any driver who's going to be racing who raced in 2025 or is going to be racing in 2026. But we've agreed that you can only use one per category because otherwise it'd probably all be below. Let's be frank here, and that'd be a bit boring for an episode like this.
And let's clarify this as well. So if you take a certain driver, they're eliminated from the pool, so I can't take them for anything.
Oh, I wasn't thinking that.
I think that's a good idea. It can be like a draft.
Great idea, like a draft. I wasn't. That is a great idea.
We're gonna have to flip a coin for who goes.
Okay, I'll take heads.
Okay, the coin is about to be tossed. Tails. What did you say?
I said heads.
Okay, so I go first.
I guess you could pick any category you want.
So I can pick any category. I mean, which does Alex Palou best fit then? It's the question. Like one lap speed, I mean, he got a lot of poles, but I think I'm going to have to put Palou for consistency because he's just the ultimate consistent driver. So yeah, I'll take Alex Palou for consistency, and Alex Palou is out of the pool. So
in the interest of Archie not picking first every single time, I'm now going to take my pick of any category, and I'll come back to consistency at some point later when there's a lesser pool. But I think we've got to go with another shoe in here. I think over the ability has to be Joseph Newgarden. There's no doubt about it. Yes, he had a slightly rough patch this season. However, look at his track record. He is still is far and away the most complete oval driver in IndyCar. Short ovals, super speedways, Indy 500, you name it. Joseph Newgarden he's probably better than Alex Palou, and there's not many things that people are better than Alex Palou in anything at.
Yeah, I'm annoyed you've taken that because obviously he would have been my pick for that as well. I guess I'll go for racecraft and go for Scott Dixon.
Yeah, that's another quite easy shoe-in.
So we're currently going by all of the best drivers in the series and which category do they best fit.
Well, I think it might not be one of the best drivers in the series, but I think, again, this is an absolute shoe-in. Overtaking has to be Christian Rasmussen. There can't really be much of an argument here. He's absolutely fireworks, especially on ovals. Even if he's right up against the wall, he's sideways, he might be upside down, whatever Christian Rasmussen's situation is, he will find a way to get past somebody. Even if it's slightly aggressive sometimes, he is definitely, I think, the best overtaker out there and gives us some absolute fireworks on track.
I'm surprised you've not picked him for entertainment.
Yeah, I had somebody else in mind for that too, because I think entertainment incorporates both on track and off track, and I feel like there's some people I think might fit that a little bit better. And I think overtaking, in my mind, it was Rasmussen straight away when I first saw the category. It's like others who are good at overtakes, but Rasmussen, in my mind, is definitely the best.
Okay. I'm going to lock Pato O'Ward in then for oval ability. Because I think he's the second best oval driver in the series, possibly ahead of Palou.
Okay, interesting.
What would you have picked O'Ward for out of interest?
I would have picked O'Ward for entertainment. Based on he's pretty fun on track. He's obviously very popular off track, and I think for good reason. But on track, he's not quite Rasmussen level of fireworks, but he's very entertaining to watch.
See, my logic is I'm going for all of the ones that are genuinely about the driving ability first, and I think O'Ward's ability usurps the fact that I want this person to be entertaining.
Well, I'm gonna do the complete opposite to you and go to personality, and I think it's got to be David Malukas really for this, because he is, I think, off track probably the funniest guy out there. All his various different memes and whatever he comes out with, he's a very entertaining bloke. He did something about Penske allowing him to not have his shirt tucked in. That's it.
Feels like going back to high school days where you'd have like a uniform card if your shirt wasn't tucked in. Imagine Penske doing the same.
So that's definitely an easy one for me. Personality and David Malukas.
It's a good pick. You see, this feels a bit weird because he's not in the series anymore. And this is why picking last year's feels a bit strange. But speed is, I mean, it's got to be Colson Herta, really. And if we're going off 25 and 26, I mean, he could yet be back for the Indy 500 for all we know, given Andretti haven't announced their extra car. Don't know if we mentioned that, but Yeah, but that's complete speculation, obviously. But I've got to go for Herta for speed, if obviously Pallot's gone for consistency.
So what's the categories we haven't? It's only entertainment, I think, that nobody's taken yet. Am I right in saying?
Yes, because you were going to take award. So yeah, entertainment.
Oh gosh, I'm going to take entertainment now. I think.
Okay, go for it.
And again, combine it with on track and off track. I'm going to go Connor Daly.
Okay.
I think pretty entertaining guy on track, especially on the ovals. Isn't afraid to get his elbows out. Runs a podcast off track. That's not the name of another podcast. That's now really confusing. But he just seems like a funny guy, well into IndyCar, and yeah, he's just a very entertaining character, Connor Daly. So I think he fits the mold for entertainment perfectly.
Okay, I'm going to also go for entertainment, and I'm going to pick Scott McLaughlin.
Okay,
because he's obviously a very kind of elbows out aggressive driver, and obviously a brilliant personality in terms of entertainment as well. Obviously, we still have personality to pick as well, but yeah,
you do, yeah.
Oh yeah. Who? Oh yeah, you went with Lucas, obviously. But yeah, I've got to go for McLaughlin because he's got to be on there somewhere.
So remaining, I have speed, racecraft, and consistency. So probably the three most important driving ones.
Yeah, I have overtaking personality and our obviously funky one. So Dan, it's your turn now again, isn't it?
Okay, so this is where I start getting the second choices for things, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Again, you picked all my first choices for those three categories, understandably so, because they are the best options. So I think consistency, I'm going to go, I know we had a difficult second part of the year, I'm going to go Carl Kirkwood. Obviously, just a fairly consistent, I like she's grimacing there, we can explain why in a minute, but Kirkwood's obviously, especially last couple of years, got a lot more consistent in his race-to-race performance. I know it tailed off a little bit towards the end of 2025, but generally I see him as a pretty consistent driver across a lot of different track types, and I think he's really proving himself compared to likes of Colton Herta's consistency has really shown the last couple of years. So Carl Kirkwood for me in consistency.
So he was actually going to be my pick for personality.
Okay, interesting.
I quite like his. I just quite like his down to earth demeanor. That would be my driver, but he's gone. Overtaking. You see, this is one where I would have given it to Daly, possibly for his oval. I'm probably going to go for Ferrucci with ovals in mind and gutsiness. I was also thinking like willpower, but he's actually probably, to be fair, I don't know why I didn't go for willpower previously for my one lap speed, given he's got the most pole positions of anyone. I just recency bias. If you're going off like recent form, obviously the last few years he went on that massive drought without a pole, didn't he? And Herta's obviously been lightning fast, but yeah, Ferrucci for me.
Well, Archie, I still have speed open.
Yeah.
So does that open the door for me to willpower? I mean, look, there's other options like Christian Lundgaard's one lap pace. I think is pretty good. Felix Rosenqvist, I think, sometimes overperforms machinery in his Meyer Shank car. But I mean, I look at the qualifying averages this year, and power is still right at the top no matter what. So I think I do kind of have to take willpower for his one lap speed, being having the most pole positions in IndyCar history.
I've bottled that, and the realization came just during that last thing when I realized he was still available. Hurst was just the first person that came to mind. Okay, right, last of the proper categories for us before we get onto the funky one. Personality. For me, out of the remaining drivers, actually, easy one. Our mate, Mr. Louis Foster. Okay,
Louis could have been a shot for speed based on his qualifying form throughout the course of the year.
Social media influencer now. It's gotta be him.
So my final one is racecraft, and again, this is where it becomes a little bit more difficult because we've taken away a lot of the real veterans of the series, and we're now down to our 14th driver in the field. So obviously, as is the case in any draft, the top guys are really picked first. So there's a lot to pick from here, but I feel like the best option really for me that stands out from the remainder is really Christian Lundgaard for racecraft. We've seen him a few times this year, kind of pull the rabbit out of the hat. I think Long Beach is one that really springs to mind, being on the ultimate strategy, really leading that strategy there. And we've seen him kind of get his elbows out in races. I mean, Colton Herta at Laguna Seca, for example, really work his way through the field, even on ovals at times this year as well, which is something we've obviously spoken about quite a lot. And I think Lundgaard's racecraft at RLL was already pretty strong, considering they were a team who never qualified particularly well, and it's kind of really come to the forefront now at Aaron McLaren. So to recap, whilst Archie makes a note of it, my 7 are: over the ability, Joseph Newgarden; overtakes Christian Rasmussen; personality, David Malukas; entertainment, Connor Daly; consistency, Carl Kirkwood; speed, Will Power; and racecraft, Christian Lundgaard.
So for me, speed, Colton Herta; overtaking, Santino Ferrucci; personality, Louis Foster; consistency, Alex Palou, which means that Colton Herta's peak speed will be consistently applied in qualifying, which means he usurps current willpower. That's my logic there. Overability, Pato O'Ward; entertainment, Scott McLaughlin; racecraft, the greatest possibly to ever do it, Scott Dixon. And that leads us on to our funky one. And given I started, I'll let you go first for this.
Okay. So my category, trying to be down with the times and be slightly interesting, I've gone for aura as my funky category.
Oh, down with the kids.
I had to pick a driver with the most aura. And thankfully, you haven't picked my first choice. So my choice for the driver with the most aura to build the ultimate IndyCar driver is Takuma Sato. I just think the guy has so much aura about him. The kind of the balls to the wall driving style, the Indy 500 victories, the fact he's so chill in every press conference on earth, and the fact he's driving cars at 240 miles an hour and he always brushes it off his shoulder, not like it's anything.
Okay, I'm glad you haven't picked mine.
Interesting. Well, who's your answer for aura? You've got to pick one for aura now.
Oh, I've got to pick one for aura as well.
So yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I think that'd be interesting if you had to pick from the remaining drivers.
That kind of means mine doesn't work for you, but
how come?
You'll see.
Okay.
The most auraful driver, that remains.
Tough pick. Who is the most auraful driver who you haven't mentioned? Who's being in the bottom half of the table in likelihood, based on this year's stand, last year's stand?
Robert Schwartzman.
Okay, nice shout,
Mr. Rapper. So go on to mine. The driver with the best ability in the series.
Right.
Now, I guess you can take this anyway. It's Marcus Armstrong.
The best ability. Oh,
come on.
I thought you meant like best, like I don't know, driving ability. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the point.
That's too generic.
That's why it's good. So you've got to now just pick a driver that has like a funky ability. But if anyone's new to listening to the podcast, because we're like 4 months removed from the season now, the Armstrong ability is a podcast running joke where Marcus Armstrong is extremely consistent, to be fair. He probably would have fitted that category without anyone actually seeing him in any of the races. He just ends up getting like 11 top 10s, whatever he ended with this season. So the driver with the most ability is Marcus Armstrong.
Even his podium was just like he just spawned in from nowhere. Oh, Armstrong's in first.
Exactly.
Nice.
So Marcus Armstrong is on my team.
So now this makes it rather difficult. What driver's got the best ability? Now
you've got freedom now to spin it into my funky category can be made even funkier by you, because it can be whatever you like.
Hone in on something ultra specific to make this remotely interesting. So ability. Well, I think I'm going to go on a similar vein to you. Just keep the podcast generic. In the spirit of popping out of absolutely nowhere, it's got to be Ryan Hunter-Reay. Like his ability to spawn in at the Indy 500. I know we spoke to him about this, and he was like, "Well, no, you're wrong, Dan. I didn't spawn out of nowhere. We were having a good race. The broadcast didn't catch it." But in my mind, Ryan Hunter-Reay still spawned out of absolutely nowhere and was about to win the Indy 500. So I'll try and keep it kind of similar to yours.
Okay, I like that. So we can rename that category the driver with the best Armstrong ability. Yeah, that's a category. Armstrong ability is a category. And obviously, because I get first pick on it, I get to pick the man himself. So there we go.
I thought that was a really fun draft, actually.
Well,
So,
I don't think it's over yet. We need to come up with a name for the driver that combines all of the names that we have listed as part of this driver.
That is okay, right. Well, do you want to give us 5 hours, viewers, and we'll be back to you with our combined driver name? Okay, me and Archie have combined all the names of our drivers, and mine just looks absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure about yours.
I'm laughing before I've even said this. Do you want to do the honours and go first?
Okay, so my driver's name is Christuma Sefnor Mawudwa Ray.
That's brilliant. Oh.
So to make clear, where's Newgarden? Oh, he's the Seth. Rasmussen and Lundgaard did me a favour because I put the Christ in there. Malukas was the M. Daly was the Nor on the end of Christuma Sefnor. Kirkwood and Power in Mawudwa. And Ray just made sense in the end. And Takuma Sato is the Uma. So there we go.
Okay. So mine is... I'm losing composure before I've even said it. Skarklexito Haruchaman.
What's this turned into, but
Skarklexito Haruchaman. What a driver.
So whether you want them or prefer Christina Sefnor Mawudwa Ray, let us know in the comments.
Mawudwa Ray is absolutely phenomenal. I suppose I should do a breakdown of mine, shouldn't I? So I started with Harucha for
Hang on, let me see when it's actually had for. Was it
Skarklexito Haruchaman?
Scott. Well, you can either Ferrucci in there. Skarklex. Well, the Lex in there is Alex Pillow.
Yeah.
The Skr is presumably Scott Dixon and Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Skarklexito Marucciman.
No, we've got it wrong. Haruchaman. Haruchaman.
Where does O'Ward come in here?
Atto. Skarklexito.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
So we've got Sk for Scott and Scott. It should really be Skarklex. I've said it 3 times there.
Well, in my case, mine should be Christuma Sefnor.
So yeah, we've got the Sk for Skarklexito is the 2 Scots. We've got the Arc is from Marcus, the Lex from Alex, and the Atto from Pato, obviously. We've got at the start of Haruchim, and the Her is obviously for Herta. Then the Ruch is from Ferrucci, the is Foster, and the Man is from Robert Schwartzman himself. So I think that's really that was a great idea to do that.
Okay, so let us know, listeners, your draft. Feel free to make your own draft and let us know which of our drafts was better in the end. I thought that was absolutely fantastic fun. That was proper good off-season content. We might do this again in the future with different categories. So if you have any categories as ideas, let us know. They can be slightly silly, be slightly funky, like ability or whatever it is. But otherwise, that was quite fun. Archie, do you want to reveal the countdown to St. Petersburg? Because it's been a while since we last recorded, because I was obviously out in the States, and now we are back, and hopefully this will be going out on Saturday. Fingers crossed again. Apologies for the late upload. We'll be back to usual order soon.
So, as we record on Friday, it is 70 days until first practice. So, when this goes out on Saturday, it will be 69 days to go until first practice in St. Petersburg.
And all our immature viewers just went, way, whilst you read that out.
Yeah. Wow, guys.
Disappointment. Anyway, next week is the beloved, one of the all-time chaotic episodes of the year, the DIVEBOMB IndyCar Podcast Christmas Special. Now, we kind of have used up all the ideas in the last 2 years for a Christmas special. So if you do have any ideas, please share, because we may be using them between now and Tuesday. Whether you comment or whether you message us on Instagram or whatever, please let us know, because we probably do want some ideas for the Christmas special. But anyway, we'll come up with something. We'll be in the festive spirit, and then that'll be our last episode proper of the year, because The week after, we'll do our best of 2025, which is just recapping our favourite moments of the year. There'll be some bloopers in there which never made the final cut.
Mostly bloopers.
Mostly bloopers, but there'll be some of our favourite interview questions. We might make a compilation of all the songs, some of our funniest moments, some of our biggest breakdowns of the year. So it's all in there. It's the best bits of DIVEBOMB in 2025. So definitely listening to that. But yeah, next week it's a Christmas special.
Off the bat, what is your favourite podcast moment of the year?
It's got to be fourth place crash and highline qualifying.
Oh, brilliant. For me, it's got to be Felix Rosenqvist getting stretched off in Detroit.
I don't think that's even funny.
It shouldn't be funny, but it's just the way you said it at the time. Rosenqvist got stretched off as though he was like a footballer who just did his ACL. And he's just been like absolutely careered into it. He's like car deep inside a tyre barrier. And you're just saying, yeah, he's been stretched off the field of play. Oh dear. I don't know why I thought it was so unnecessarily funny.
We need to make a compilation of the Armstrong we've been to this year as well. Find all the race clips and combine.
Oh, well, I'm not doing that. You're doing that because that's going to take you an entire day.
Yeah, we'll find it. Anyway, I need to.
It's your idea, so you do it.
Anyway, that's going to be a fun episode. We'll hopefully see you Tuesday. Yeah, we'll have to be before Christmas, so we'll work something out before Tuesday. Hope you enjoyed this draft episode. If you have any thoughts about it or any comments, who's the better draft, let us know. But otherwise, thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Long live Scar Klexito Haruchim.
Shout out to my good friend Christina Sefnon of the